Hi everyone, welcome back to the Balanced Bite. It's Regina here. If you are new here, I share meal preps every week along with simple and delicious recipes to make healthy eating easier. This week I wanted to batch prep a bunch of ingredients to have ready for mix and match meals. Instead of going to the store and making up a grocery list, I decided I would just use what I had on hand. So I had some proteins, some arugula in the refrigerator, some carrots, some celery, some Greek yogurt that I always have, some protein powder. So with all those ingredients, I actually and I had a ton of potatoes as well. I was gonna do sweet potatoes, but I'm like, nope, I'm gonna stick with what I have, just what I have. And so I basically did that. I did have to add a few, like a couple of extras, under 20 bucks. I had some tortillas, some hot honey, and also I had some low carb tortillas. But other than that, I used what I had, and I'm gonna show you how I prepped those and then some of the meals that I made after. So let's go ahead and get into the meal prep for this week. I started my meal prep with the potatoes. First I weighed them out, which came out to about 3 pounds, 6 ounces. I like to measure everything because it helps me portion out my meals accurately. For this meal prep, I ended up having 17 portions, which made it easier to keep track of my calories and keep my meals balanced. Next, I peel the potatoes, and then I'm going to cut each one of them in half. Then I used my mandolin potato cutter, which I love because it makes everything super uniform and easy to prep. Once they were all cut up, I then got out my bowl and I tossed them with some olive oil, salt and pepper, paprika, onion powder, and a little bit of garlic powder. And I will put all the macros and the recipes in the blog post of this video. So now I'm going to toss together the potatoes in a bowl. Get them all nice and well combined. Then on a baking sheet with parchment paper, I went ahead and preheated my oven to 450. Then I spread the potatoes out evenly on the baking sheet and roasted them for about 30 to 35 minutes until they were perfectly golden and crispy. Next, on to the carrots. I'm going to take our carrots and peel them, then cut off the ends. Then I like to cut like a little piece off the side. I like to square up my carrots. Again, I'm going to cut it down the side here, and I want to cut it into planks, about 6 per half carrot. You know, when you do this, it just kind of gives it a little bit more, I don't know, for me, I like carrot sticks. They taste better to me than baby carrots, and they look better when, you know, they're looking nice. And this, by doing this plank method, you can really make it feel a lot more elevated. And then after you have your carrots all cut up, you're going to take your damp paper towel and put that at the bottom of the glass bowl here. This is to help them to stay moist and fresh tasting. These carrots will last for about 7 days in a container like this. Now let's go ahead and cook up the Italian sausage. I originally planned to use these for a pasta dish, but since I never got to it, I decided to fry them up so they'd be ready for different meals. To start with, I steamed the sausage by adding some water to the pan. And you want to let these cook for about 15 minutes with a lid on them. Once they were steamed through, I turned them over and made sure that they had a char on them. And once they get that brown char on them and they're 165 degrees, you can take them out. And I went and I cut them into pieces, into chunks. This way, you know, they're ready to go for eggs, pasta, stuffed peppers, or whatever you decide you want to make out of them. And just like that, the sausage is ready, and you know, you got it for the week. Ooh. So in the pan here, I have 2 pounds of 80/20 ground beef. And again, I was probably going to use this for chili or some spaghetti or something. And I can absolutely use that again for this mix and match, given that I will have my proteins already cut up. So I just made like a seasoned beef. It's not really taco meat. It's more just an even balance of different spices. And I'll go ahead and put that in the blog post if you're interested. It just kind of gives it a nice mild flavor. Sometimes taco seasoning to me is a little too harsh, and so I just wanted a little extra flavor to have it ready to go when I was, you know, preparing my meals. And so that's what I did. And I'm sure you guys have made ground beef many times, so I don't have to explain. But you do need to drain it before you put any spices on it or, you know, tomato paste or whatnot. And I just give it a quick stir and took it off the stove and let it rest for about 5 to 10 minutes. And there was my ground beef for the week. Okay, now let's make our yogurt bowls. I have some cocoa powder here and my protein powder. And then I'm going to be using some peanut butter for a little extra flavor. Just about a tablespoon. I think it's 2 tablespoons actually. And again, I'll put this in my blog post, all the breakdown of the ingredients and the macros and the instructions. And then a little bit of maple syrup. Then give it a quick stir. And you really want to stir it till it looks almost, you know, well combined, like a whipped mousse almost. Then once that's done, I have some mason jars here, and I'm just going to fill them up real quick. Everything I batch cook for the week. I also prepped some yogurt bowls and mason jars, which make for easy grab and go breakfast. Now let me show you how I customized the yogurt bowls. To begin with, I have my yogurt bowl here, and I'm going to go ahead and customize it a little bit. So what I have here are 2 tablespoons of mixed berries, and I'm just going to add that to the top of this yogurt. But you can add anything you like. I think nuts, like almonds, walnuts, you know, pecans would be really good. And then you could also add coconut, or even, like I'm going to do right now, a little bit of grated chocolate. But I also added some whipped cream to it, just to kind of make it feel like a dessert. And that's it. Simple but delicious treat. And it feels like a rich dessert. But it's actually really light and healthy, great for breakfast or a snack. So here's what I made with the batch cooking this week. I made a breakfast burrito. I used some of the sausage and some of the cut up vegetables. I had the carrot, celery, hummus, and hot honey for a snack. Then I made a creamy vegetable sausage rigatoni with our Italian sausage. I had some ground chicken that I had saved, and unfortunately I didn't show you that, but it was frozen. And I made some chicken pimento salad, some ground beef tacos, and I made some yogurt bowls like I showed you earlier in this video. This is a lot of fun. I enjoyed the customization of it, and I definitely will be doing a batch cook video again in the future. Meal prep doesn't have to be boring. It's all about having things ready to go and a variety of things and mixing and matching as you go. With having everything prepped, I can have delicious, flexible meals all week long, and so can you. I hope this gave you some ideas for your own meal prep. Or if you'd like I said, I'll put this in my blog post, what I prepped and what I made, and you can take it from there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Get to hit the like button, subscribe, and share all these videos with your friends and family.